You know, the dream of studying in Europe, it's a big one. We think of the history, the culture, these incredible universities. But for so many people, there's this one huge wall that seems to stand in the way, a single high-stakes English test. Well, today, we're going to show you why that wall might just be an illusion and how you can find the door that lets you walk right through. Does that sound about right? You find the perfect program, you've got the grades, but the idea that your entire future comes down to one test score, it's just so stressful. And you are definitely not alone in feeling that way. But what if I told you that whole fear is actually based on a really common myth? Okay, let's get right into it. The myth goes something like this. Without a top-tier score on a test like IELTS, the doors to Europe are just locked. But the reality? It's so much better. European universities are way more flexible than you think. There isn't just one path forward, there are many. All right, let's officially bust this myth wide open. In this first part, we're going to look at all the different ways you can prove your English skills. And you might be surprised to find you already qualify for one of them without even knowing it. I love this quote because it's from a real PhD student who got into a great university in Germany. And you know what she did? She didn't take an IELTS or a TOEFL. Her proof was just the simple fact that her earlier degrees were taught in English. And this isn't some rare secret loophole. It's actually a pretty common and accepted way of doing things. And this isn't just a Germany thing either. We're seeing this all across Europe, especially in popular student hubs like the Netherlands and Sweden. They've created these established pathways for students to show they're fluent without forcing everyone through the exact same testing funnel. So let's break down your options because this is where it gets really good. The first and most common alternative is the Medium of Instruction Certificate, or MOI. It's basically just an official letter from your old university. Super simple. Then, of course, if your degree is from a place like the US or the UK, well, that's usually all the proof you need. And remember, no IELTS doesn't always mean no test at all. A lot of universities are perfectly happy with TOEFL, PTE, or even the Duolingo test. Some might even just want to do an interview with you. The main point here is you have choices. Okay, so you have all these options. How in the world do you figure out which one applies to you? Well, it all comes down to the game plan. And step one is all about deep, specific research. This is your superpower. It's not just about finding a cool program, it's about becoming a total expert on its exact rules. This is how you take back control. And this diagram right here, this is the perfect example of why generic advice just doesn't work. This is the education system in Italy. Germany's is different, so is Sweden's. You've got to understand the structure of the specific country you're applying to, from what they consider a high school diploma to how their degrees are set up. Let's make it really simple. Your research plan has 3 steps. 1, find the exact program you want. 2, go to their admissions page and make sure your diploma, whether it's from high school or college, is actually recognized. And 3, hunt down their specific page on English language rules. Don't ever assume. You have to verify. And believe me, that third step is everything. When I say find the specific rule, I mean it. These requirements can be wildly different based on where you're from, what kind of diploma you have, even the classes you took. Here, let's look at a perfect real-world example. Okay, check this out. This is for Utrecht University. If you've got an Irish leaving certificate, boom, you're exempt. Done. No test needed. If you have an Indian school certificate, you're exempt, but only if it was all taught in English. Have a U.S. high school diploma? You still need certain AP scores to be exempt. But if you have the French baccalaureate, you have to take a test, period. See? It proves your nationality doesn't decide it. Your specific qualification does. So you've done your research, you know the exact rules. Now it's time for step 2, actually building your application. And this is so much more than just sending in some documents. This is your chance to tell your story and convince them that you are the perfect fit for their program. So, what do you need to have ready? This is pretty much the universal checklist. You'll need a copy of your passport, your diploma, your official transcripts, a CV, and that really, really important letter of motivation. And of course, whatever you're using for your English proof, whether that's a test score or that MOI certificate we talked about. And listen to this, because this is golden advice from that same student. A generic copy and paste application, they can spot it from a mile away. You have to customize your CV and especially your letter of motivation for every single program. Look at their website, use their keywords, and show them you've actually done your homework and that you genuinely want to be there. This right here, this pulls back the curtain and shows you exactly how they think. This is a real scoring system from the University of Parma in Italy. And look at this. The relevance of your high school classes is worth the most, 5 points. Your grades, 3 points. And just having proof of English, only 2 points. So why is that? Because relevant subjects show you've been preparing for this specific field for years. It shows a real long-term passion, not just that you're a good student. The English proof is a box they have to check, but your story is what really gets you the points. All right, on to step 3. This is the part that trips up so many people. You get that acceptance letter in your email and you think you've crossed the finish line, but you haven't. You have to understand the university and the government's visa office are two totally separate things, and you need a yes from both of them. Let's use Italy again as our example. It's a sequence of events. First, the university checks you out and gives you that precious letter of acceptance. Second, you take that letter to a national visa portal like Universali and officially apply for your student visa. And it's only after the government approves your visa and you actually arrive in Italy that you go back to the university to formally enroll. And this brings us to the single most important warning in this entire process. I really cannot stress this enough. Think of it like this. The university's approval and the government's visa are separated by a giant wall. This is a direct quote from an official document. Getting an acceptance letter from the university does not, I repeat, does not automatically mean you'll get a visa. The embassy has the final word and they have their own list of things you need to prove. So after all of that, what's the big picture? The main thing is that this whole system isn't some impossible locked box. Not at all. It's just a series of steps and rules that, once you know them, are completely manageable. You have the keys now. The code is cracked. So let's just quickly recap the keys to cracking that code. First, that big scary English test is not the only gatekeeper. There are other ways in. Second, your most powerful weapon, your absolute best friend, is doing deep research on the specific university you want. Third, a personalized application that tells your story is way more effective than a generic one. And finally, always treat the visa process as its own separate, incredibly important mission. So there you have it. You have the framework, you have the inside knowledge to turn that big European dream into a step-by-step plan. You know the myths and you know the reality. So the only real question left is, where are you going to start your journey?